The 2026 Emmy nominations were supposed to celebrate television's biggest achievements. Instead, almost immediately, fans began asking a very different question. How did some of these shows and stars get left out? Because while The Pitt dominated with a massive 25 nominations and Hacks followed closely behind with 24, several major names were missing from the list. Some omissions were shocking. Others were controversial. And a few raised the question of whether voters were finally ready to move on from some of television's biggest recent favorites. From the final season of Stranger Things being almost completely ignored to The Bear losing two of its biggest acting stars, the 2026 Emmy nominations created plenty of conversation. And then there were the shows that were not snubbed at all but were never even eligible. So, who was left out of television's biggest night? And which omissions are already being called the most shocking snubs of the 2026 Emmy race? Stranger Things, the final season that couldn't break through few television shows, have had a cultural impact quite like Stranger Things. For years, the Netflix phenomenon turned its young cast into global superstars and became one of the most recognizable shows in the world. So when the series reached its final season, many fans expected the Emmys to give it a major farewell moment. But that did not happen. The final season was largely shut out of the major acting and drama categories. For a show that had become one of Netflix's biggest global franchises, the absence was immediately noticeable. The problem was that Stranger Things entered its final chapter carrying enormous expectations. The show had once felt like a cultural event. But by the time the final season arrived, Emmy voters appeared far more interested in newer dramas. The result was a strange ending for one of television's most influential series. Millions of viewers watched it. The cast became household names. But when the Emmy nominations were announced, the Academy largely moved on. And that may be the most painful kind of snub, not losing a nomination, but barely being part of the conversation at all. Jeremy Allen White, the Bear's biggest shock for years, Jeremy Allen White was one of the Emmy Awards' most reliable favorites. His performance as Carmy Burzado in The Bear transformed him into one of television's most celebrated dramatic actors. He had been nominated for each of the show's first 3 seasons. And he had already won twice. So when his name was missing from the 2026 Outstanding Lead Actor in a Comedy Series category, fans immediately noticed. The omission was especially surprising because The Bear was still nominated for Outstanding Comedy Series. That created an awkward situation. The show itself was still being recognized. Several members of the cast received nominations. But the actor who had been at the center of the series since the beginning was left out. The 4th season also faced criticism that Carmy's storyline had become repetitive, and that may have influenced the voters. After several seasons of intense emotional performances, perhaps Emmy voters simply felt that the character had reached a creative limit. But for fans of White's work, the snub was still difficult to understand. He had previously become almost synonymous with Emmy recognition for The Bear. This year, however, the momentum suddenly stopped. Ebon Moss-Bachrach, another major Bear absence Jeremy Allen White, was not the only major Bear star left out. Ebon Moss-Bachrach, who plays Richie, also failed to receive a supporting actor nomination. That was another major surprise. Moss-Bachrach had won 2 Emmys for his performance. His portrayal of Richie had become one of the most praised performances on television. The character's transformation from chaotic restaurant employee to someone searching for purpose had been one of the show's most emotionally powerful storylines. But the 4th season's reception appeared to change the conversation. The show still received important recognition, including nominations for Outstanding Comedy Series and several cast members. The biggest shutout, Rooster, perhaps one of the most surprising omissions, was Rooster. The series had attracted attention because of its cast and its exploration of sexual politics in an academic environment. Steve Carell did receive a nomination for lead actor in a comedy series. But almost everything else was missing. For a show with significant attention surrounding it, receiving essentially one major nomination was unexpected. And that single nomination almost felt like a consolation prize. Supriya Ganesh, the Pitt's missing performance there, was a strange contradiction in the 2026 nominations. The Pitt was the most nominated series of the year, with 25 nominations. But not every performance from the medical drama was recognized. Supriya Ganesh, whose performance had attracted significant attention during the show's second and final season, was left out. That omission became even more noticeable because the show itself dominated almost every other part of the Emmy conversation. When a series receives 25 nominations, fans naturally begin asking, who was missing? Ganesh became one of those names. The situation demonstrates how competitive the acting categories have become. A performance can be widely praised and still fail to make the final ballot. And when the rest of the series is having such an extraordinary Emmy run, the absence becomes even more visible. Sydney Sweeney, the name that didn't make the cut Sydney Sweeney, was another notable omission. After becoming one of the most recognizable young stars in Hollywood, she was expected by many observers to remain part of the awards conversation. But she did not receive the nomination some expected. Her absence was particularly notable because her profile has grown enormously in recent years. She has become a major presence across television, film, fashion, and pop culture. However, Emmy voters did not reward her with a nomination this time. The result once again showed the unpredictable nature of award season. Popularity alone does not guarantee recognition. Even stars who appear to be everywhere can find themselves outside the final list. Heated Rivalry, the show that wasn't even eligible but here, is where things become complicated. One of the most talked about shows missing from the 2026 Emmy nominations was Heated Rivalry. However, technically, it was not snubbed. The show was not eligible for consideration because of its production circumstances. That distinction matters. Fans may look at the Emmy nominations and wonder why one of the year's biggest television sensations is missing. But not every absent show was rejected by voters. Some were simply outside the eligibility rules. That did not stop fans from discussing its absence. In fact, the show's popularity made its non-appearance one of the most noticeable omissions on the entire list. And it raises an interesting question about the changing television landscape. As international productions become increasingly popular in the United States, awards eligibility rules may continue to face new challenges. Half Man A series that deserved more another major disappointment for fans was Half Man. The series received only a limited amount of recognition, despite strong support from viewers and critics. Richard Gadd did receive a nomination, but fans argued that the show deserved recognition in several other categories, including writing, directing, editing, and acting. The reaction online was particularly intense. Some viewers felt the series had been almost completely overlooked. And that is the strange thing about Emmy nominations. A show does not have to be completely shut out to feel snubbed. Sometimes one nomination can actually make the omissions more obvious, because fans can see that the Academy recognized the project. They simply did not recognize enough of it. Sheryl Lee Ralph A.'s surprising absence, Sheryl Lee Ralph, was also among the names fans believed deserved more recognition. Her work has consistently earned praise, and her absence from the final list became part of the broader conversation about this year's acting omissions. The Emmys are often influenced by momentum. A performer can receive widespread praise one year and suddenly disappear from the conversation the next. That does not necessarily mean the performance became weaker. It may simply mean that a new group of contenders captured the attention of voters. And in 2026, the competition was especially intense. So now the question is, which 2026 Emmy snub shocked you the most? Was it Jeremy Allen White, Ebon Moss-Bachrach, Stranger Things, Sydney Sweeney, or was there another show or star you believe deserved to be on the list? Let us know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this breakdown of the biggest Emmy surprises and snubs, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. Because the nominations may be over, but the real drama has only just begun.